Introducing God's Learning Channel's brand new Amazon bookstore, your gateway to a world of wisdom and faith. Our Amazon bookstore offers a remarkable collection of dozens of handpicked items, carefully curated to enrich your spiritual journey. From a wide selection of traditional Christian and Jewish Bibles to Judaica treasures, biblical holiday merchandise, and even beautiful jewelry. Our Amazon bookstore has it all. Conveniently shop from the comfort of your own home at any time. Just visit our website or stop by our online bookstore. Or better yet, simply find us on Amazon to embark on a transformative shopping experience. New items are added regularly, so remember to always check back. Shop now and embrace the blessings that await you.
Hi friends, we at GLC would like to take a quick moment to thank you for watching our programs on this platform, and we'd like to ask you for a little favor. Would you please go beneath this video and click the subscribe button? Did you know that by simply subscribing to the GLC YouTube channel, you can help us financially support the programs on this platform? You'll need to be signed into YouTube beforehand. But if not, simply click the subscribe button and YouTube will automatically walk you through the steps to sign in or to create an account. By taking these simple steps, you will not only ensure that you continue to receive our unique programming and gain instant access to the hundreds of videos we post, but more importantly, you'll also be telling YouTube that GLC's content is worth watching and promoting. Likewise, if you enjoyed a specific program, please click the thumbs up button below, which also helps inform YouTube that this is a program worth recommending. Finally, once you have logged in and subscribed, please click the notification bell below in order to receive announcements when we post new content. As usual, feel free to post your questions and comments in the comments section below. We always love hearing from our friends and viewers. Again, thank you for watching and supporting God's Learning Channel. We couldn't spread the message of the gospel without you. Be blessed, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Espetia, and welcome back to another exciting episode of The Light of the Southwest on God's Learning Channel. Holly and I are so glad to see you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We're so blessed to have you with us today.
Well, like always, we always have somebody exciting from some part of the world to join us on our television. Well, we want to welcome everyone from 365. Please welcome our guests, Rabbi Elie Mischel and Sharon Michaels, director of our Texas chapter. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So, yeah, Israel 365. What's with the name? What does it mean?
Sure. So Israel 365, it comes from the verse that in Deuteronomy that tells us that God's eyes are upon the land of Israel from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. Right? God's eyes are always on the land of Israel. And that really is our focus as well. We work as I would say the primary, Jewish organization that's focused on building friendships between the Jewish and Christian communities. Our focus is to build those friendships and mutual love and respect and admiration between our communities, with not trying to change each other, but simply to stand together shoulder to shoulder, and to do so to strengthen Israel, our common love, Israel, and of course, America as well. And so that's our focus, and we do a whole slew of different things to try to make that a reality.
Awesome.
When were you all founded?
It was founded by my friend, Rabbi Tully Weiss, my good friend from college. He founded it about 12 years ago when he moved to Israel from Columbus, Ohio. And he's really an amazing visionary and saw that there was an incredible need for this. And over the last 12 years, it's grown from, being him and by himself in his living room to we have over 20 people at our office in Beit Shemesh in Israel, and we're building branches across the world. It's really extraordinary. God has blessed us in all of this work.
And so how many branches do you have here in the States?
So our first branch is led by Sharon Michaels, who's here together with us right now. She's the director of Israel 365 Dallas. We founded that about a year and a half ago already. And amazing things have come from that, from what's happening in Dallas. And this summer, I'll be traveling over the coming weeks where we'll be officially launching 3 new branches in Israel 365 Colorado, Israel 365 Midwest, and also, God willing, Israel 365 Houston. So we're expanding because right now, God is looking down upon us and saying, when are my children going to start working together? So this is the time, especially since October 7th, for us to stand together. So big things are happening.
Right. I feel like the time too, it's like we are in the footsteps of Messiah, and it's time to start working, stop talking and waiting. What are we waiting for? And the world is getting crazier and crazier right now. And we're so glad that your ministry is here and that there are places for us to partner and come in alignment. How do we support Israel today? And yeah, I mean, tell us a little bit more how we can support your ministry.
Well, thank you so much. So first and foremost comes education, right? The foundation of activism is knowledge. If people don't understand what's actually happening in Israel, then their action, first of all, they're not likely to act. And if they do, they may end up doing the wrong thing. The first thing is to know, right? We always say, let my people know. It's not just let my people go, but let my people know. And so all of us, Jews, Christians, we've got to get educated on what's happening. And first and foremost, that means studying the Hebrew Bible, which is the foundation of this relationship between Jews and Christians. And it's also the foundation of what's happening today in the land of Israel, the great struggle, the great war that we're in, right? It's all grounded and predicted and laid out in the Hebrew Bible itself. So the first thing to do is to know. And I'll give you one example of where knowledge is so critical. Right now, the United States, the current administration is pressuring Israel to accept something called the two-state solution. Maybe you've heard of it in the news. You've heard, President Biden talk about this. It sounds very nice. 2 states for 2 peoples. We should have a Jewish state, and then we can have an Arab state in what they call the West Bank. It all sounds very nice. And so there was actually a survey done of Christians in the United States, and 82% of Christians said, yeah, of course, we agree with the 2-state solution. But here's the thing. They agree with it, but they don't understand at all what it's about. Right? The 2-state solution, we call in Israel the 2-state delusion, because it means cutting out the biblical heartland of the people of Israel, Judea, Samaria, Hebron, Bethlehem, Shiloh, where the tabernacle stood, all of these places, kicking out every Jew and making it completely, as they said, in Nazi Germany, Judenrein, empty of Jews, and creating an Arab terror state like we have in Gaza in those places. Now, that doesn't sound all that good, right? But I think so many Christians don't even realize that what they hear about in the news, the West Bank, is a fake name. That's actually Judea and Samaria. And if you would ask Christians, do you want to kick all the Jews out of Judea, right? I think the answer would be very, very different. I don't think that most believing Christians would want to throw the Jews out of Judea. It's crazy. That's our heartland. That's where most of the Bible happened. 90% of the Bible took place in these lands. And so, this is just one example where, basic but fundamental knowledge is so essential. Before we get to action, we have to know what's going on. So, so first we have to know, and then from knowledge, we can go to action. And it's so critical that we no longer just sit, and be passively pro-Israel, which is better than the alternative for sure. It's better than being anti-Israel, but we're no longer in a world where we can be passive. We have to be active. It's so critical, so essential. I'll give you, I think, a beautiful teaching from the Book of Lamentations. The very first Book of Lamentations, it's all about the destruction of the temples. It's a very sad book. It's lamenting all the terrible things that have happened. And in Hebrew, that book is called Eicha, which means, how could it be? How could it be that all these terrible things happened? But one of the great teachers that I look up to from the early 20th century, he said that we actually have to read it differently today. For all those years of exile, when the people of Israel were helpless, we said, Eicha, how could it be? Right? We were lamenting. But now we have to read that word a little bit differently. Instead of saying Eicha, you can read it as Ayeka, which means, where are you? What are you doing? Right? It's no longer a time now just to lament, Now there's a time, to get active, to no longer be passive, to say, what can I do? And what I've seen throughout my life is that even a small handful of people can make a massive difference if they care enough to act. And so, talk about meeting with your congressman, meeting with politicians, and expressing, your strong feelings and your knowledge on these matters, right? Not just to be, again, generally pro-Israel, but to talk about the two-state solution, why we need their help to fight it. These things are so critical. We can create activists in Congress and in politics. We can really shift the thinking on this. With the help of amazing Christians throughout America, and particularly from Dallas, where Sharon has formed such unbelievable friendships. We've really succeeded in shifting the conversation on a lot of these issues, including with President Trump, who used to be a supporter of the two-state solution, and now he's not. And so that's something, what an unbelievable accomplishment. And it all began with Jews and Christians, with mutual love and respect, becoming friends with one another. And all of a sudden, we're changing the world. So it's amazing what can happen.
I think love is the key word there, and life. I mean, you mentioned this two-state solution cutting out the heart of the biblical heartland, Judea, Samaria. I know we've reflected on King Solomon, his first case that's brought to him of the two mothers with the one baby, and he has to determine who the real mother is of this child. And so as we look at this proposal of a two-state solution, we definitely see the connection to how he handled that case. Okay, well, cut the baby in half here, half there, to that mother. But the true mother, her heart, her love, the love for life was revealed. She wants that baby to live. And calling for that baby to be cut in half really is showing the hearts. Which side are you on?
I love that, Holly. That's a beautiful, that's a beautiful way to describe this issue here. To cut out Judea and Samaria is to cut a baby in half, to divide the land of Israel. That's why the prophet Joel, he talks about this, in the 3rd chapter in the book of Joel, when how all the nations will be brought for judgment to the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? And why are they brought to judgment? Why? Because they divided God's land. And the amazing thing is we are living through that prophecy right now. Right? We have our leadership in the United States of America is wants to divide God's land. I mean, I think that's something that should make every American, Jewish or Christian, very nervous. And that's something that we have to change.
Right. Sharon, I was wondering if you could share a little bit about being the Texas relationships and how a lot of our audience can maybe get directly involved in your community.
Absolutely. So, we say all great things start in Texas or Israel. But yeah, having the first branch here in Dallas is definitely proof of that. So a little over a year and a half ago, I had this visit from these wonderful rabbis from Israel and started hearing about Israel 365. And I think it was probably the best decision I've ever made to get involved. I've been part of the
after marrying your husband. After that,
yes, of course.
Second best decision you ever made.
My partner in crime, my husband, and partner in mitzvos, as we say too.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So I've been involved with the Jewish community here. Actually, 20 years this summer. We moved here 20 years ago in 2004, and have a background in media and radio. But I've really just been feeling so blessed with this opportunity to be the director here for Israel 365 Dallas, and had a chance to just make lots of new friends and learn a lot. I'm learning along with the people I'm working with, but just having a chance to really do what's right for Israel. And, the great thing is, we have this strong connection between Texas and Israel. For example, Rabbi Elie is going to be here in Texas later this summer. And I know he hasn't mentioned it yet, but he's got a new book coming out. And he's going to be here promoting his new book and talking about what's going on in Israel. We're bringing groups of Jews and Christians together to, meet with Rabbi Elie and, just, work together towards promoting and supporting Israel.
Mhm, mhm.
That's amazing. We are coming to Dallas, I think, next week to go to a concert. But an Israeli group coming in for that. So I know Dallas and Texas and like you said, we're the other Lone Star flag in the world.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Rabbi Elie will be here. He's coming in July 24th, and he's going to be doing a few different events. And if any of the viewers have interest in joining us, they could certainly email me, Sharon at Israel365.com. They can sign up for our emails and get, the flyers and the information about events, not just with Rabbi Elie, but, we do all kinds of events throughout the year.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds wonderful. And on that note, we'd love to hear, Rabbi, about this book that you'll be releasing.
So thank you so much. It's actually been released. It's now available in the last couple of weeks. It's called The War Against the Bible, Ishmael, Esau, and Israel at the End Times. So I'll be honest with you, I never planned to write a book like this. But, after October 7th, I live right next to Bethlehem. We're in our bomb shelter. It was a, very traumatic time. We had, friends whose children went off to war and sadly never came back. It's all from America. You're watching it on TV. In Israel, you're living it, and it's an extremely real. Every day, every night. I have nephews that are in Gaza right now fighting as we speak. It's very painful, very emotional. Never in my life have I experienced anything like this. Even as the wimpy 40-something-year-old guy who's not in the army, but nevertheless you're in it. You're part of it, and so as a way of dealing with this, I really felt that I could no longer just try to live a faithful life, but I needed to understand the world in a deeper way. I needed to understand what God was doing. And so the way to do that, we don't have prophecy today the way that we used to, but we do have prophecy, right? We still have the prophets of the Bible, and their words are not just meant for their time, but for all times. And so it's a living and breathing Bible that's speaking to us every day. So I get up very early in the morning, and so I got up for months. I would get up early and have my coffee and sit and study the different prophets of the Bible to try to understand what was going on. And what I discovered was unbelievable. In Zechariah 9, for example, it talks all about the attack from Gaza. It talks about prisoners underground being kept in tunnels. It talks about the attack from the north and the south and from the Houthis in Yemen. All of that's there. But even more than that, it really talks about what this great war against the people of Israel and frankly, not just the people of Israel, but also all Jews and Christians around the world. The Bible tells us what this war is going to be about, and so that's what this book is about. It's about the great and terrible alliance between the people of Ishmael and the people of Esau against the people of the Bible and their war against the Bible.
Yeah, it's just so mind-boggling to see this. It's kind of like the awakened church versus the woke church. And this woke movement is how it's quickly aligned with Hamas. And I was just like, how backwards is this? This is happening on our college campuses. These colleges are getting funding directly from, the people who are terroristic organizations, and we're sending our kids to these schools, and we're paying good money to send them to these schools, and it's astounding to watch it happen here, and it's nowhere near what you're going through, of course, in Israel. But once we began seeing these things, we were just like, for us, I think, and for our community, we felt like it's time to start being vocal and trying to make a difference. we've had three of our congregants from our congregation go and help directly, kind of hands to the land type of a thing, to go, how do we serve, right? All these people are getting called up to from reserves into active duty for the IDF. A lot of them have jobs, and so how do we, pick the grapes in Judea and Samaria? And so we've had people who have come over with Hayavel. We've had people who have volunteered with Sarel, which is just a volunteer kind of group to help the IDF. And so people from very close to our home are going there to volunteer, which are just, it's great to do. But man, it's just so, we would have never seen who would have thought these times would happen for Israel. And like many people are saying, some of the worst massacre since maybe the Holocaust, as far as numbers going. It's crazy.
You brought up some important points there. I would say, when Christians come and volunteer in Israel, it's important on a few levels. They're making real contributions, as you're talking about. We're close friends with the Hayovel guys, and they're an amazing organization. I see us as like we're the Jewish half of the partnership, and they're the Christian half, and together, like, we were able to do so many wonderful things. So Christians can really come and make a difference. But even without doing anything, simply showing up in Israel. I met an amazing pastor who came really only a few weeks after October 7th. He came with 3 or 4 guys from his church. And I said, like, what are you doing here? I mean, I think it's really wonderful, but like, what are you guys doing here? We're in a war zone. And he said to me, he goes, Elie, this is the ministry of presence. Sometimes it's just about being present. They came so early, they didn't know what to do yet. There weren't really volunteer situations, set up. But it didn't matter. Just coming and being there and giving people hugs was incredibly important, because it shows the people of Israel that we're not alone. We run these trips, these young Christian leadership trips, where we bring, young Christian leaders in their 20s and 30s for a week of, an unbelievable, powerful experience here of training and learning how to be advocates for Israel. And they go to the Gaza border, and they, and they came to my community for Shabbat. They came to Efrat, which is right next to Bethlehem. And I got to tell you, these young people were rock stars. They had like 20, teenagers following them around everywhere they went. I think it was so emotional and so inspiring for our town, for our community, to know that there are people, and specifically not Jewish people, specifically Christians, who came and care enough to be with us and to come for Shabbat, that it was such an amazing emotional morale booster for people. With no small thing. Our community is filled with people whose sons are in the army, mothers and fathers who can't sleep at night, who are afraid of hearing a knock at the door. Because if you get a knock at the door, it might be the army coming to tell you terrible news, right? So we have people whose husbands are away for months at a time, and to meet, Christians coming into our town and simply to be there and to say that they care, they're with us, is incredibly important. At the same time, though, I would not belittle the war that's happening in America today. This is a world war, and it's true. It's a military battle right now in Israel, but in America, there's a battle for the soul of the nation, and this is a major battle, and so much of the world depends upon this battle. Right? Will America, become like the people of Esau? Right. My understanding, what I write about in the book, is that the descendants of Esau are those who reject God. Right. The woke that you're talking about, the people who hate the Bible, and who have rejected God and replaced God with themselves. Right. If America goes in that direction, we're in trouble. Right. That's a big problem. And so we've got to fight for the soul of the nation. That's an internal battle that's happening in America today. Right. And so many of these people, who are woke. I mean, it's crazy. They, gays for Palestine. If they would go to Israel, to Gaza, right, the Hamas terrorists would throw them off a roof in 5 seconds, right? They would, and yet they're supporting them. How is this possible? And I think, this is what I talk about in the book is, understanding this from a biblical perspective. It's prophesied in the Bible that in the end of days, there will be a coalition between Ishmael and Esau. And, the people of Esau are the anti-God people of the West, and the people of Ishmael are the radical jihadists. And even though they're very different, what they share in common is a rejection of the Bible, right? Certainly the people who are the woke people reject Judeo-Christian values. They reject the Bible. But even the jihadists, the Muslim jihadists, they reject the Bible as well. They believe in God, but they don't believe in his word. And because of that, they can rape women and kill children on October 7th and say, oh, that's God's will. Because when you don't have a Bible, without God's word, if you only believe in God, you can say that anything that you do is God's will. And so this is what we're facing today. It's a world war between the people of the Bible, Jews and Christians, against the people who hate the Bible, who are Ishmael and Esau, the radical jihadists and the woke progressives in the West.
Yeah. We're seeing a rise in violence, gun violence in houses of worship. And I think it's 50% of those attacks on houses of worship are Jewish and Christian churches. Of course, of the top two, I think Jewish synagogues take number one spot. So it is horrible. And we need to stand with Israel. We need to stand with the God of the Bible and say, hey, those who curse Israel will be cursed. Those who bless Israel will be blessed. And which side of the fence are we going to be on? Are we going to bless them or curse them? And unfortunately, even looking at our administration, sometimes are we blessing Israel as much as we need to right now? And I feel like this election coming up is going to be a pivotal point. And how do we turn this nation around? How do we get onto the blessing side of this whole deal here? We want to. If our nation won't do it, how do we do it? How do we do it personally? And so for all of us who are watching, and you're just like, hey, I'm with Israel. I want to bless Israel. There are many ways to do it for your own home without, despite what our nation may be doing and the policies and the politics, all that aside, there's a way to get involved. And let's get on to Israel 365 and connect with Sharon and connect with Rabbi Mischel. And can you tell us a little bit more about what we can do?
For sure. We've got some amazing initiatives. One in particular, which I think is really revolutionary, is called keepgodsland.com, which is a joint initiative. It's much bigger than just Israel 365. It's a joint initiative of Jews and Christians fighting, against the two-state solution, fighting on behalf of Israel. And it begins with education and it moves into advocacy, and we've notched some major victories. We're going to be in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention, doing a few major events there, which you can find keepgodsland.com. Together with Tony Perkins from the Family Research Council and all these amazing Christian leaders who've really stood up. So, like I said before, what we need most on the ground level is education, right? I think that your viewers, the people who are watching this program, are some of the most engaged people in America and probably some of the most educated people in America on these issues. But I'm sure that many of their family and friends are not. And so if you go on keepgodsland.com, you'll find so much unbelievable education, amazing videos about Judea and Samaria, pamphlets, all sorts of things that you could easily take on and spread and share with friends and family and make a major difference. And if you're ready for it and ready to go next level, to speak to your local politicians of all levels, make sure that they know that these are issues that matter to you, right? They know generally that people are pro-Israel, certainly in the great state of Texas. But are you passionate about it? Is that something which is a priority? They need to hear from you about that. So, go check out keepgodsland.com. It's an amazing way to get involved, sign up, get the newsletters, be on top of things. And that way you can be part of what's going on a regular basis, join events, run your own events. There's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And so, what are some of the upcoming events you have locally, Texas?
I'll let Sharon answer that one.
Yeah, thank
Sure.
you.
Well, first I was going to say, if you feel inspired after you've watched this today, we have a tour, a mission tour coming up in August to Israel. So if any of your viewers have any interest, they could go to Israel 365 and get more information. It's a incredible trip, an incredible opportunity to see Israel and really, meet with people and, meet with Jewish people, meet with Israelis and see what's really going on. And in terms of events locally, like I said, Rabbi Elie is going to be here. It's very special for us that he's going to be here in late July. We have some events in Dallas. We also have a really cool event coming up in Lubbock, the beginning of August 1st through 4th. We're going to be having a challah bake for mothers and daughters, or women and children, actually specifically to raise awareness and raise money for the widows, the IDF widows.
Wow.
And then we're doing a special Shabbat program in Lubbock. There's a lot of opportunities to learn, to get involved, to get connected, and like Rabbi Elie said, to make friendships,
Yes.
in support of Israel.
Sharon made a really good point. The very best thing to do, and I would encourage every one of your listeners, at some point, get to Israel. I know it sounds scary right now. There's a war going on. We don't take people to any dangerous places. Don't worry. But it means so much. There's nothing quite like it. It literally is a life-changing experience. And as Sharon said, she was alluding to this, but I'll say it a little bit more directly. It's one thing to come to Israel and to see all the holy places, which we do, but it's much, much more important beyond that to meet the people. To not just, you can go on a tour anywhere. You can go to Spain and go to all the famous places, but not really meet any Spanish people and really miss out on the heart and soul of the country. And the same thing is true in Israel. When you come with Israel 365. In August, we have in October as well for the Feast of Tabernacles. It's going to be an amazing trip, the March of the Nations. It's like an incredible experience, these trips, where you come and you really get to know the people, and you spend time with the people of Israel. To me, that's the most meaningful thing. I mean, the holy places are amazing, don't get me wrong. But to come and to walk the land, to meet all these incredible people in Israel and hear what's on their heart, to share what's on your heart, to be that ministry of presence, I think it's life-changing for the people who participate in these trips, but it's also making a real impact in Israel. Tourism is down dramatically, and there are thousands and thousands of Israelis who are suffering because they work in the tourism business. And that's yet another reason, if you can come and to support, to be here, just to go to visit all these places, you have no idea what you can do for the people of Israel. So check it out, Israel365.com. It's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just inspiring to hear both of you share. I want to circle back around, Miss Sharon, specifically to something you said, a challah bake. So mothers and daughters, and it's for the widows of IDF soldiers. So what that brought to mind was the incredible testimony we saw circulating about Ori. I think one of the first soldiers to be rescued from Gaza. But what I would love for you to share with our viewers is challah, baking it, the symbolism, the impact, the prayers, and what we saw happen in relation to that with Ori.
Oh, yeah.
So really, challah is a very special food for any of I'm sure your audience all knows what it is, but the challah bread, the braided bread that we eat on Friday night and on the Sabbath. And, when we make the blessing at the beginning of the meal, we're saying, the hamotzi blessing, it's on the bread for the entire meal. So this is something very special that we make for the Sabbath, and we're going to be doing this on that Thursday night. I believe it's August 1st in Lubbock. And just with the significance of the ingredients and, why the challah bread is so important. And I'm sure Rabbi Elie could speak about the the history from the Holy Temple. But this is a very special thing, and by the way, very delicious. And we're going to be doing this in Lubbock on August 1st.
Yeah.
So the challah bread, that we have on the Sabbath reminds us of the manna that we received in the desert, in the wilderness, when we left Egypt. And that's why we have 2 loaves on Friday night and then on Shabbat day for lunch, because we received a double portion of manna on Friday in preparation for the Sabbath. And so that's some of the significance of the challah bread. But also more broadly, our tables today, the dining room table, I know it's like this in a Jewish home, and I would suspect it's like this in a Christian home as well. It's not just a table. A table is so much more than a place technically where we sit down and eat. It's where our families come together. It's where we welcome guests. It's where we determine the culture of our homes at our tables. And that's why, it's one of the great tragedies of modern times that families don't sit together and eat together the way that they used to. Now, we're often guilty of that during the week, but the beauty of Shabbat, of the Sabbath, is that, you must sit together as a family. And we wait all week long. Even if we're running and busy all week long, and our kids, we don't necessarily always do dinner together, but Shabbat, is a game changer. And so, the sages say that our table is like the altar in the temple. We don't have the temple today, but we do have our tables. And this is like, our tables are our altars, and the food that we bring, is like our sacrifices, right? The idea being that this is a holy place, our table. We've got to sanctify our table. What do we talk about with our family, our spouses, with our children when we sit down to eat together on the Sabbath? So when we make a blessing over the bread, we are sanctifying the table and our entire home. It's not just about thanking God for food. It's much more than that. We're saying, this is what our family culture is going to be like. And so, that's part of the deeper significance of the challah and of food, really in biblical tradition. That's also why when we sanctify the Sabbath, we do so over a cup of wine. Wine is not, it could be used in a very dangerous way. You can drink too much. You can get drunk all the time. You can ruin your life. But on the other hand, if you sanctify wine, right, it uplifts you, it uplifts the family, brings joy. So what we're doing at the table, through bread, through wine, we're showing that we can sanctify these physical things, and uplift our entire our family and the altar that is our table.
Yeah.
Amen. What was your connection to Ori? What you were thinking?
Well, we saw a video circulating of Ori's mother saying the blessing over the challah and connecting with Hashem, and how he answered her prayers and brought her daughter back.
Very good. You're right. So now, thank you for reminding me of that story from the beginning of the war. It was such an incredible moment that gave so much strength to the people of Israel. But yes, Ori, who is this young woman, a soldier who was captured by Hamas. Her mother, something that Jewish women do when we make the challah. There's a blessing. We separate out a piece of the challah to give it to the priests. It's meant to show that when we eat, the bread is not just for me, myself alone, but rather must be shared with others. And that's what sanctifies this physical act of eating. And so, Jewish women traditionally will pray to God for all that they need for their families. And so while they're fulfilling this command to separate the challah and uplift the whole process. And so she was praying, Ori's mother was praying while separating the challah, for her daughter, and her prayer was answered. She was the first one to be answered. Unfortunately, so to this point, most of the hostages' their families have not been answered. We're still waiting for them to come home. But her prayers were answered, and she was brought back, pretty quickly after the war began. And she certainly attributed it to the prayers that she uttered to God in such a heartfelt way when she separated challah. You can only imagine what that moment must have been like. Together, she was there. Her daughter is a captive, is a hostage, taken by these brutal animals. I don't know what else to say. Animalistic people, rapists, evil people, what she must have had going through her mind. But to pause and to pour out her heart before God as she's fulfilling this command and baking the challahs for Shabbat, please God, save my daughter. And then those prayers came true. It was a great, great moment of inspiration, not just for her, but for all of Israel. And I think, every believer throughout the world.
Yeah, so Bezrat Hashem, Lord willing, maybe my daughters and I can come join y'all for the challah bake. That sounds like a very special time that y'all are going to share. And so also, Ms. Sharon, coming back to the more local level, Dallas, as you're building relationship with the Christian community, and on the other hand, there's rising anti-Semitism, in the world around us. I know that sometimes the bad news, the bad events can pull us in, and we need to see the truth. We need to see what's happening on both sides. But I would love to hear some of the encouraging stories you've had of people supporting you and helping Israel.
One that comes to mind right away is that we did a beautiful event after October 7th, honoring lone soldiers and their families here in Dallas. And we brought together a couple different organizations. We had 9 lone soldier families right here just in North Dallas.
Wow.
And we were able to honor those families, tell their stories, speak about what their children are doing, pray together for their safety. We were able to introduce another partner organization that helps the lone soldiers. And we were able to raise some money to support this organization. One of the many things that we do, we come together, not only for that, but we also birthday with the Chewbacca mom. If you've heard of Candace, I'm a friend and connected with our organization.
I'm sorry,
Christian lady, a Christian Zionist.
Okay.
Who's should I keep going?
You're breaking up, Sharon.
Yeah, so maybe you can just back up. You mentioned Chewbacca mom, and I didn't get the rest of that.
Okay. So we have a wonderful friend, Candace Payne, the Chewbacca mom, who's a Christian Zionist and a lover of Israel. And we got together and with Christians and Jews and celebrated Israel's 76th birthday. So
wow.
we have a lot of fun. We're doing our best to work together to support Israel, but we're also celebrating, for example, Israel's birthday.
Yeah, that's exciting. So we before we started the program, we talked about how second chances, opportunities to rewrite certain things and edit. And I wanted to talk about this opportunity we have in history right now. It's a second chance is what it appears to me, coming out of the Holocaust, where the Christian voice was silent and atrocious things were happening, and there wasn't it wasn't being addressed by the Christian population. And so I'm seeing right now what we're entering into is a second chance, an opportunity to be that voice, to stand up for truth, stand up for and align with God's heart, God's love for his people, Israel, for the Jewish people around the world. And so I'm very thankful for your organization encouraging that relationship and encouraging Christians to join, to partner, to love. And that's a beautiful opportunity that we're all being given. And I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah, to create a tikkun. You've created a path for the church to create a tikkun, a repair in the world for something that they didn't do in the past. So thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you. I've heard some pastors refer to this moment in history as the Bonhoeffer moment. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German pastor, one of the only ones who, stood up against Hitler during the years leading up to World War II and throughout throughout the war and during the Holocaust, and he was murdered, by the Nazis a few weeks just before the end of the war. But that's an era of history that I think we all need to study. The majority of Christians in Nazi Germany were not supportive of what Hitler wanted to do to the Jewish people. But they also didn't stand up, and I think they assumed, oh, we'll just be quiet, it'll pass. And because they were passive, Hitler was able to take over the country. And by the time they woke up, it was too late. And so, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was somebody who went against the grain, and we need more people like him today. That I think is why they refer to this as the Bonhoeffer moment. It's not enough any longer to sit at home on your couch and say, man, that's terrible, and then go on with your life. That's not enough anymore. If we're not active, if we're not doing, if our voices are not being heard, and we're not speaking out, then a minority can take our country in a very, very dangerous way. Right? This happened in Nazi Germany. It happened with communist Russia as well. Then when the communists took over Russia, they were a small minority, but the majority were passive. And so a minority was able to impose its will on the majority. And what we're seeing today, the majority of Americans are good people who support Israel. They really are. It's somewhere between 70 and 80% of Americans support Israel. Yet who owns the streets in America? It's the pro-Hamas lunatics who own the streets in America. We're not out there protesting and counter-protesting. They own the streets. They're the ones making all the noise while we sit at home and watch Netflix. And that's not, that's not going to, that's not enough. It's not going to save this country. If we want to save America, and frankly, I'm more concerned about America than about Israel. God has made promises to Israel. And so I'm not concerned, so much about the future of Israel. I think we'll be okay. But when it comes to America, right, there's no promises that America will be there in the end and that everything's going to be smooth and easy and wonderful in America. It depends upon what you said before, Eric and Holly, what you guys said about, I will bless those who bless thee. If America blesses Israel, America will be blessed. But if not, God forbid, the opposite will happen. And so, it's upon us, it's incumbent upon us, all of us in America have to stand up, make our voices heard. We've got to make noise, right? It can't be that the politicians think that it's only the other side that cares. So we cannot let a vocal and crazy minority win. That cannot happen in this country. So that's in our hands to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think part of a heart of our show too is to tell the truth. I think our media and even media in Israel can be just totally slanted and one-sided and only wants to tell whatever narrative that they want to tell. It's an era of disinformation. Nobody wants to just tell the truth. And I know recently it was Al Jazeera in Israel was asked to leave because they were really, really bad at this. I don't know if they did it for the whole country.
They directly support terrorists. I mean,
Yes.
they work with and for terrorists. It's not just that they have a view that we don't like. If that was all it was, we could live with it.
Right.
But just because you're in the media doesn't make you immune. So we saw that there were at least 30 to 40 different members of Western media who were literally supporting Hamas on October 7th and part of the rape and murder and torture of Jewish people. So, many of those people have been targeted and killed as terrorists, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Al Jazeera it's not just, one or two people. It's the entire network is a terrorist network. And so for that reason, they have no place in Israel. This is long overdue.
Yeah. For the American media to paint Israel as the bad guy or quote the occupier and all these other things is just absolutely ridiculous. And again, going back to just the Shabbat table, the challah bread, the blessings. If you've ever just listened to or been invited to a Shabbat dinner or an Erev Shabbat or even a Havdalah service, whatever that is, go to it and you will see that the prayers are never to death, kill, destroy. The prayers are always to life, to health, and not just for Israel, for all the nations, for the world. It's in the prayers, it's in the songs. If you've read the words of King David in the Psalms, It is uh, it is life and love and help. Help me, God, get through these tough times. Uh, this is the heart of Judaism. This is the heart of all Christians. That is what binds us together, this overwhelming love. And when you see the other side, it's death, jihad, kill, destroy, it's cursings, and it's just so plain, but yet nobody can see it. Somehow, well, let's fact check that, and then they're going to come up with a way to make that all a lie.
So I think through this time we've definitely seen a clearer distinction between lies and truth, darkness and light, and aligning with truth, aligning with light, aligning with God's word. I think there's a call to his people to connect with him, connect with the Bible, connect with the truth that's there. It is living, it is active. Daily prophecies are being fulfilled, and we can plug in to that source of truth by reading Hashem's word. And I find that the lies, I know we want them to speak truth. We want the media and others to speak truth. But I'm not sure that it's appropriate to keep even engaging or listening, because it's constant lies. It's constant what you would call the evil tongue, Lashon Hara. And so, it's pushing me more right now into the word. And I would encourage all of our viewers to connect with truth, so that you can discern, because this is a delusion that's coming over the world, and it's a flood.
I could not agree more with what both of you just said. I mean, Eric, you captured the difference between the people of the Bible and the people who hate the Bible. Is it life versus death? That's 100% what it's about. And Holly, what you were saying, is 100% true. We have to follow the news, and there's some really great news channels out there that you can follow, including this one.
Yes.
Where you can really learn the truth. But getting involved in just looking at the news all the time, you really miss out on the bigger picture, the deeper picture, which is the word itself, which is God's word. It's all there. God says tells us what's going to happen, how we should respond to it. And I think that it sounds so basic what you're saying, but the truth is we need a reminder, because we're obsessed sometimes. We're addicted to the news, and a reminder to return to the Bible. I think that's what it's all about. I'll be honest with you. I'm a rabbi. I for so many years, I studied the, not just the Bible, but all the different holy Jewish texts and so on. But it's only when I came to the land of Israel, I moved 3 years ago, when I was 40 years old. After 40 years in the wilderness, I entered the land. It's only when I returned to the land of the Bible did all of a sudden that my eyes were opened that this is not just a holy book, but this is a book that's actually living and breathing. And I feel like the book is vibrating. It's like it's alive,
Yeah.
and walking, or maybe because I'm living in the land of the Bible. And you see how what happened then is what's happening now. The struggle of David and Saul and Samuel and against the Philistines. These are the battles that we're fighting again today. And God didn't just write this in the Bible so that we would have a nice history book. He gave us all of this in the Bible because it's a model for what's happening in our own time. And so what you're saying, Holly, about going back to the book, we've got to go back to the book with this particular perspective, which is that the book is talking to me right now. Prophecy never ended. It's coming through these written words, and it's speaking to us in our particular moment. So, I could not agree more with what both of you said. I think we're deeply aligned. Jews and Christians. There's something really profound that's happening here right now. I couldn't have said it better than both of you. So amazing.
And speaking about going back to the book, we have an amazing book called The Israel Bible that was edited by our founder, Rabbi Tuli Weiss. And it's known to be like one of the best because it's got the English, it's got the Hebrew, it's got the transliteration, it's got amazing commentaries about the land of Israel. And just very recently, we started a new program with Israel 365. It's called the Israel Bible Plus. And it's an opportunity to have special teachings, special videos with Rabbi Elie and some of the other amazing rabbis that we work with, where we really, dig in and delve in and learn together. So it's known to be one of the better ones, the Israel Bible.
That's wonderful. Yeah, we'll look into that. That's very exciting. And I just want to thank you, Rabbi Mischel and Miss Sharon. Thank you so much for fulfilling Hashem's mission and being a light to the nations, and just emanating that, illuminating the word and putting that into action. Thank you so much for what you are doing and exemplifying to us and to the world around you. It's a beautiful thing to witness and be inspired by.
Yeah, Rabbi Mischel, would you be able to close us with a word of prayer?
Absolutely. And thank you again for this really just unbelievable opportunity to get to know you both and to speak to your amazing, amazing listeners. Our Father in heaven, we are sitting here together from afar, but we're together, Jews and Christians, your children, all of us, your children, sitting here together in love, respect, mutual respect, not trying to change one another, but simply to love one another, to stand shoulder to shoulder in your service. And so, God, please look down upon us and bless us in all of our efforts with success to bring your light to the world, to bring your peace to the world, and so that we should soon see that day, the day of the ultimate redemption, where there'll be no more war, no more anger, but really all of your children, Jews and Christians, all of us together, worshiping together on the Temple Mount, as Isaiah said in the second chapter of Isaiah. The day should come that we all are together, standing shoulder to shoulder, in your holy temple, worshiping you together as one. And let us say,
Amen.
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 Amen. Everybody who's watching, if you are looking for a dynamic speaking group to come and share a pro-Israel message to you and your congregation, please reach out to Israel 365 and reach out to Sharon if you're in Texas. Invite this team to come and speak at your congregation. Get involved. We thank you so much for everything and how you support GLC. If you've liked this program, please hit the like button, share it with everyone who needs to hear. And we look forward to seeing you all again on our next show. And we love you, and we thank you for joining us this evening and today. Shabbat shalom, or shalom.
Shalom. Thank you for joining us. Blessings to you, Rabbi, and blessings to you, Sharon.
Thank you to you too.
Thank you so much for having us. Be well.